And welcome back. Today we are flying out the Kfir C.2. Is this thing worth your time? In a way, yes. You get a Kfir without having to grind the entire Israeli tech tree. It's not a broken vehicle, so it's definitely good as a, event plane as well. It doesn't really break the game. But you're gonna have a slightly worse Kfir. It has less engine power. It is slightly lighter, which is of course better. And it only has half the missiles. It's a low BR right now at 11.0, but I am expecting this to go down a little bit more, probably making this thing a little bit more viable. But right now it is 11.0 and I will review it against top tier planes. If this thing goes down, it might become pretty damn powerful, because the engine power is still there. The speed from from the runway to Mach 1 is about 4 seconds slower than the C7. This is of course with full missile loads on both of them, so if they are both clean, the C7 will pull away a little bit quicker, but after Mach 1 the C7 really starts getting that advantage. You do play it largely the same, but when your main armament are that fast, well, you're not gonna have a very great time. You have two Aim-9Gs, which I don't think are the greatest missiles in the game, especially right now during the event where everyone is in the one massive furball. That is what this thing doesn't excel at. You can be very fast and you can stay at about 3 to 4 kilometers and you will reach Mach 1.4 pretty damn quickly and you'll be able to outrun most missiles. But of course you don't have a radar, you have a very limited amount of countermeasures. If you run mix, which I recommend you do, you're only gonna have 8 button presses. The pattern is pretty nice, however. They come out sideways, so they don't really leave this breadcrumb trail back to your engine. But main concept of this thing, it's again the Kfir C7, but less so. You can put a tremendous amount of pressure on most enemies, but it's an extremely situational plane. And I will be showing you a lot of situational stuff today, because I can show you that going 1v7 in this thing isn't very enjoyable. You lose too much speed, you don't get enough energy back quick enough, of course, in a 1v7, regardless of the plane. But this plane, it's really made for those really small team fights, where it's like 2v2, 3v3, maybe 1v1, stuff like that. It's not really a team fight, but you get what I'm saying. And the second the game really opens up and becomes this massive team game, you'll have to be flying it around like a vulture, and we are going to be doing exactly that. I got 2 carries for you, 2 with actual kills, 1 with, 1 kill only, and 1 guy that I crit. But in general you have to fly this thing in a pretty specific way. You can't be overly aggressive because your countermeasures are pretty low, and your main idea of defeating missiles will be simply outrunning them. You are fast enough and you can outrun most missiles. I haven't really been missiled other than R-24s that have been shot for my blind spots, which, well, it doesn't really matter what you're flying, that's gonna happen eventually to you regardless, if you are not aware enough. And I'm just really looking around for stragglers, and this is what you do not want to see. The thing below me right now, a massive fuck-off furball of the entire enemy team. And I'm gonna not dive on them. I'm gonna keep my altitude right here, I'm gonna keep going Mach 1.2, and I'm gonna try to pick someone off that's maybe at a little bit higher altitude. But we get interrupted by the MiG-23, so we pop the afterburner, or drop the afterburner, drop some flares, turn in slightly, and that missile is nowhere to be seen anymore. And right now I'm just looking for someone that's somewhat alone so I can actually catch him off guard. And you're gonna be doing a lot of this if you want to be effective in this thing. And if you do this wrong, and there is no real way of doing it right, your team is just gonna die in the background, as you're seeing right now, which is a very common thing at top tier, of course. And that's why it's so important that you can have this early game presence, which this game just simply lacks. So I'm just looking around, I'm trying to find someone that's somewhat secluded, so we can start killing them, but look at the enemy team. It is completely alive, and ours is the opposite of completely alive, and I'm just still looking for an opportune target. And then it starts kind of presenting itself. Su-22 behind me, not a big threat, and then there's this very small furball that's chasing a singular Mirage. We have an FGR that's looking at the Mirage, hopefully, so I'm going to shoot a missile at him, and then I'm going to continue in to go for the MiG-23. The FGR does spot the missile, unfortunately for us. He cuts throttle, he flares a little bit, and he pulls out. But the MiG-23 is at this point so damn slow that he is a very prime target right here, because the MLD is one of those planes you really do not want to face in this thing. But he's crit, he's going to go into a flat spin, and now I'm going to use all the speed that I used to get in there to kind of get out. But right now the FGR is getting pressured, the Su-22 is very slow on the left, So what I'm gonna do, instead of keeping my speed for a little bit, I'm gonna actually put the pressure on and try to keep this FGR to go for me. Then the Mirage that's in my team can try to clean him up, and this way we have him out of the game before he really poses a threat. But then Su-22 right above us, as well as an JA-37 that's coming in. Bait on the FGR was successful, and Captain Troska over there takes him down in the F1C. And now we are gonna go into this little bit of a 2v2 and see what we can do. We have a JA-37, he is directly ahead of us, but I do want to be careful of the fact that there's an Su-22 directly on my 6. Shoot a missile at the JA-37 in the hope that he's gonna turn into us. Razor gets missile because he is completely stuck and he doesn't have flares, very unfortunate. And then we get on the 6 of this guy. He's rolling around, he's not really doing a great job of going defensive, and we crit him, and he is gonna die in due time as well. We dive out, we try the Next-G a little bit, dodge the MLD's guns, dive out and try to get as much speed as humanly possible before the MiG-23 does a full rotation again and starts catching us, because we can outrun that guy pretty handily. All I now need to make sure is that the JA-37 actually does crash and the MiG-23 gets distracted. MiG-23 breaks off, JA-37 looks to be completely fucked up, and all I need to do now is, well, just juke the shot of the Su-22 and gun it straight for the MiG-23. The Su-22 is not something I'm particularly scared of, but the MiG-23 MLD definitely is a plane I'm pretty scared of. And now I'm just looking around. It's 2v2, we have an Su-22 as well as a MiG-23. I'm not sure if he's smoking or if he's damaged or whatever, but I need this guy out of the match. I don't know if he's any missiles left, and I want to make sure that we don't lose because I leave the kill for Captain Troska. I'm not sure if he's crit, I'm not sure if he's gonna be dead. He seems to be flying alright and he's still shooting missiles, so I'm gonna be stealing that kill. I'm terribly sorry if you are watching this. And then the Su-22 does a full rotation in front of us, and well, at his speed I'm not really gonna be missing that shot. And that is going to be game. We are just gonna clean this guy up as he is stalled out, and then we are gonna go straight into the next game. Nice aim, isn't it? Luckily I can hit him with the second burst. And this game is going to be looking largely the same. I'm trying to look up a guy that's a burning wreck, wondering why I'm not getting a tone. But hey, kind of hard to see with the clouds. And I'm just looking around and I'm doing the exact same thing as I was doing the last game. I'm trying to hold my speed. I'm trying to hold about 2 to 4 kilometers and just see where I can drop in and help out my team. But of course the enemy is again in this massive furball, which is again one of the biggest weaknesses of this plane, because you don't really have a missile that you can just chuck in, hope you get an easy kill in. These missiles are more made for longer ranges, hoping that people do not see it. If people see this missile, it is extremely easy to defeat. So you want to make sure that you shoot it at a prime target, and in the hope that of course in that massive furball no one is dropping any flares. I'm gonna go for the JA-37 here, because the JA-37 is a bigger prime target than the Su-22. He breaks off, so I do switch back to the Su-22. I have him locked up, but he's actually paying attention. We miss an extremely easy shot, but jokes on them, that's actually going to win us the game, funnily enough. The MiG-23 MLA is flying straight, he looks to be not paying attention, he's trying to use his speed, so I'm just gonna use a missile on him, trying to keep him, catch him off guard, and then we switch to the FGR in the hope that we kill them both. He goes down, I'm dead on this guy's 6, we get a nice little double, and that's 2 very important targets out of the match in a span of about 5 seconds. And now I just want to be very vigilant, very much aware of what's around me, because I don't want to get caught off guard. You don't want to do that in this game. Getting people on your 6 in this plane is an absolute death sentence if they are close enough. And it's not because you can't reverse them. It's because you're gonna lose so much damn speed trying to get one guy off your 6 that the second one will just completely lick your ass up. So we have a MiG-23 on R6. Razor is gonna be breaking off to keep the other MiG-23 tangled up, so I can try to reverse this guy and see if that works. I also have an F5 that's, well, kind of serving like a buffer. And there you go. Su-22, the guy that I missed a very easy shot on, is gonna win us the game by team killing one of the biggest threats in the enemy team. And that kill right there is gonna make it so that I can actually dogfight the MLD right here. I want to make sure that I'm not compressing too hard. I do want to be a little bit slower. The F5E slams the Su-22, and now it's a 2v2. We managed to get a 1-turn crit in. I'm gonna take a look at the Su-17 here, seeing if he's not actually pulling in for me going Mach 1, because I don't want to chase this MiG-23 up like this in a very slow stall. because it doesn't matter what you're in, at this speed the Su-17 is just going to kill you. The MiG-23 is a crit. I'm a lot slower than him, so I actually managed to cut inside of his loop. We hit him again, get him hit again, because these guns are absolute dog water. But we're now on the dead 6 of this MLD. He's way too slow. But of course I lose a lot more speed than him, so he can actually just run away. And considering I don't have missiles right there, if he had just flew straight, then he would have outrun me. So that's gonna be kill number 3. Su-17 is also dead in the background, and that is going to be game. And here we are again. This time it is a 3v4, they have 4, we have 3. I'm in a Kfir, we have a J8B as well as a J7E. They have an MLD, a J37, a MiG-21 and another MiG-23 MLA I think, and a J837 starts locking me, so I instantly notch his radar. I pop one chav in case it's not actually a pulse Doppler, and I bait this guy for the J7E. Works out quite well, because the J837 was so occupied trying to lock me up that he wasn't looking below himself, and he got caught out by a J7E, and that's definitely a plane you do not want point blank on your 6. He instantly kills the J837, and now it is 3v3 without actually losing any planes. So we went from being at a disadvantage to it being equal. However, arguably their planes are still quite a bit better, because we have a J8 as well as a Kfir. I know that the J8 as well as the J7E have improved PL5s right now, but they are still PL5s, and they have missiles like the R24. The MiG-21 then decides to also go for me. I'm not sure why everyone is trying to kill me when I'm in a Kfir going this fast, but hey, you do you, and I'm just gonna keep this guy occupied by slightly turning in right here. I'm out of range of his missiles, and I'm just trying to get this guy as slow as humanly possible so that he becomes an easy kill for the J7E. So I'm gonna drop the afterburner, I'm gonna drop 1 or 2 flares, and we are just gonna drop right back on top of him. If this was a 1v1 I would have turned in a lot quicker, but I wasn't aware of the MiG-23 that was coming in, so I was just trying to bait this guy as hard as possible for the J7E. So I shoot a missile in at the MiG-21, the MiG-21 manages to dodge it, and now I'm just gonna go full send for the MiG-23 because he's definitely a much bigger threat. And then the MiG-21 dies regardless, so I definitely made the right call there. I'm not able to pull in there, I'm gonna rip my wings off if I try to follow that. So instead I'm gonna shift my focus to the other MiG-23, try to keep him occupied so that my other 2 teammates over there can easily 2v1 the other MiG-23. So he doesn't take it, he just goes straight for my teammates. I drop a flare, he doesn't actually manage to hit anything, and we are gonna shift our focus again to the other MiG-23, because if I turn around right now I'm not gonna accomplish anything. I'm gonna get stuck in a dogfight with that guy, and then the guy in front of me can easily turn around and just kill us. J8 gets a missile shot at him, MiG-23 then breaks off because he's completely occupied by the other 2 people on his 6, and we are just gonna try to pull in here. We managed to get a crit in. Not sure what I damaged, but he seems to be pretty fucked up. And we are again gonna go for the other guy again. And you can tell that I'm trying to not take any 1v1s. I'm just coming in and out. I'm just boom and zooming them on the deck. And that's how you play this thing. Preemptively notch this guy because I'm not about to throw this game. Try to not get R24'd as well. Just the R24 with the IR seeker. I still have flares, so I'm not really too worried about that. And it's 2v3 versus 2 MiG-23s, but I'm not really worried because one of them is crit, and there's still 3 of us after that. So we are just going to be looking to clean the last guy up. The guy that I completely beamed is going to crash in a second, and then give me an assist, because that's all I am able to get lately in this thing, because these guns do absolutely nothing. And then we shoot him in the head on and get a quick kill in. And here we are, just for additional example as well as some ability to talk about the plane itself instead of the gameplay. I'm just gonna be doing the same thing, coming in and out, sneaking up on people, trying to get very close on people. MiG-23 here is going for Razor. I do want to make sure that I do not get this MiG-21 on my 6, but he looks to be completely oblivious. So I'm going to try to help Razor out, and then I'll turn around and go back for the MiG-21. So we shoot a missile at him. He's completely oblivious to the fact that I'm behind him, and he is going to catch that missile with both his hands. But the Kfir C.2, is this thing worth grinding out for? Is it worth to spend 6 hours a day or however much money you are going to spend? I think it's not. If you are looking for a Kfir without having to grind Israeli tech tree, this is the bootleg version, and it flies largely the same. It's just slightly less effective. So if you are looking for a plane purely for gameplay, I recommend getting the C7 if you can, because this thing asks so much from you as a pilot. Not so much in winning a single game, getting one good game, getting cool clips and whatever. Being consistently good in this thing is extremely hard. This plane is very situational and you'll have to create the situations you need in order to win in this thing. And very often you can't really do that in top tier, especially not with this weapon kit, making it very frustrating to play. You are going to be flying around at higher speeds, not doing anything very often, which in my opinion isn't very fun. If you are a collector, great looking plane, feel free to pick it up. If you are an investor, I'm not entirely sure, I'm not an economics major. But in general, you just fly this thing like something that's fast. You basically fly it like the F-104, but you are able to dogfight a lot of planes pretty handily. As long as you don't mind shitting away all your speed instantly and then getting third party, because that's really the name of the game in this thing. But yeah, make up your own mind, see what you want to do. I'm just gonna be wrapping this video up, because I really don't have much else to say about it. Look at the kill feed right now, entire enemy team just dies in a half a second. And that's just top tier right now. And when top tier is about getting the kills as quickly as you can, trying to snowball as hard as possible, a plane like this just falls out of meta. It fell off. It's one of those planes that would be extremely good a few years ago, a few months ago, maybe even before the MiG-23s. This thing would be insane. But that is not the position we're in right now. As long as this thing stays at 11.0, I'm gonna give it a big no. Just like the C7, it's a pretty good airframe. You just have no impact on the game because you can't really kill anyone. So if people don't try to focus you and get themselves baited, you probably baited yourself into actually flying this plane. Hope you enjoyed it. See you all in the next one.